Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Days and welcome to this very special video. This is sort of a video I've wanted to make for a long time. We're gonna look at the most important WWE Mattel wrestling figures. These aren't the best, they're not the weirdest, they're not the worst. They are the most important. I've managed to gather together about 7 or 8 figures. Some of these are battle packs, some are basics, some are elites. We're going to go through why all of them have been included. You could argue that there are many, many more that should have made this list. If you do think that something really important has been missed, then let me know in the comments below. We can always do a part 2. But I've given this some thought, and let's get straight to it, shall we? First of all, we're going to start with Ron Simmons. Ron Simmons, widely regarded as the first ever African-American World Wrestling Champion. Now, there were others before Ron Simmons, but I'm not sure how big their world championships actually were. Because they were in like territories, whereas this happened in 1992. The championship that he won was the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. He beat Vader for it, and so as a result, a lot of people class Ron Simmons as the first. Now, we can debate that, but what we can't debate is the fact that Mattel made a figure. You can see it on screen right now. This is Ron Simmons, who of course would go on to become Farouk. He won a World Wrestling Championship 1992. This figure comes with that championship. It's the only way you can get that belt as well. So very, very cool. We're going to talk a lot in this video about women's wrestling and the evolution of women's wrestling. Let's talk about this figure then. This is the Elite Paige. It comes with the NXT Women's Championship. It also comes with the Divas Championship. And Paige was, of course, the first woman to win the NXT Women's Championship. Such a big moment for the women's evolution, because now women had a championship down in developmental to fight for. There was a reason for a women's division. So, big moment. Paige was the first champion. This figure, of course, comes with the Divas title as well, because Paige would get called up to the main roster and win the Divas Championship from AJ Lee. So, for a brief moment, Paige held both belts, which makes this quite an important figure. Actually, one of the first figures I ever bought from Mattel. Moving on, we've got Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss, still talking about that women's evolution. This battle pack has only just come out here in the UK, but it is so important because it is to do with the first women's wrestling match from the UAE, Abu Dhabi, over in the Middle East. There had never been a women's wrestling match. Women weren't allowed to compete in such events. Well, WWE managed to convince the government to allow them to do this match. There was obviously a few rules that they had to follow. One of them being the women had to be completely covered. They couldn't show any arms or legs or anything like that. So that's why they're wearing very unusual ring attire. The crowd, though, loved it. They were chanting, "This is hope." Such a big moment. So big, Mattel actually made figures of that one match. They never wore this ring attire again, but still we got these figures. Very, very cool. Next up, we've got Asuka. Fan Central. Asuka, of course, this isn't out yet, but she won the first ever Women's Royal Rumble. It happened not that long ago, in 2018. So women hadn't had a Royal Rumble of their own since all of that time, since going back to, I think 1988 was the first men's Royal Rumble. The women had to wait another 30 years till they got one. So Asuka was not only in that match, but she won that match. And this is what she was wearing. So that figure should be coming out very soon. Also, in the same vein, we've got Carmela. Carmela, the Fan Central figure. She won the first Money in the Bank. And this took place, I believe, 2017. And actually, technically, it was James Ellsworth that climbed the ladder and grabbed the briefcase and passed it to Carmela. But the record books will show Carmela is the first winner. They did a rematch just a few days after, and Carmela would win that as well. So however you want to look at it, she was definitely the first, which makes this figure, again, pretty important. Next up, we've got John Cena Make-A-Wish figure. So this was actually designed by a Make-A-Wish kid called Alex the Bulldog. And not only that, it was sold exclusively through Toys R Us, and profits of the sales, a percentage of them would go to Make-A-Wish. Such a, worthy cause, and there was no way I wasn't going to include this in this video. Next up, this one could be debated, but I do feel very strongly about it. Bruno Sammartino. Now, this Elite figure, I believe this is Elite 25. Bruno Sammartino was the second WWE champion, the first being Buddy Rogers. We've never had a Buddy Rogers figure, so that makes this the earliest WWE champion that you can buy Mattel figure-wise. That's not why it's on this list, though, because Bruno Sammartino was the face of WWE throughout the 60s and the 70s. He was the biggest superstar of those 2 decades. Again, that's not why he's on this list. I've included him here because no one has held the WWE Championship for more time than Bruno Sammartino. He had 2 reigns. Add the 2 reigns together, he held the championship for nearly 11 years. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. And this is also the only figure that comes with a little Hall of Fame plaque. So it's very, very cool. Very, very cool. Comes with a little plinth as well, so you can have him wrestling a match or giving a Hall of Fame speech, whatever you want to do with it. For me, this is one of the coolest and one of the most important wrestling figures that Mattel have ever made. The final figure that I've got on my list is Tyler Bate. Tyler Bate, the first ever United Kingdom champion. He won that championship in 2017. This is the only way that you can get that belt at the moment. It is one of the best belts they've ever made. But of course, we've now got UK Women's Champ, UK Tag Champs. But for me, this is where it started. This moment with Tyler Bate winning that UK Championship, it gave us everything that followed. Of course, now we've got NXT UK. We've got NXT UK takeover shows. There's like all of this activity that's happening in the UK wrestling scene. And for me, a lot of it goes back to this. So it was a UK exclusive figure. They also were selling it through Ringside Collectibles. It's a very important figure. It's one of my most treasured figures that I've got. So yeah, I had to include it in this list. Now, of course, I had to draw a line somewhere. We could argue that the Stone Cold figure is important or a Hulk Hogan figure is important. But I wanted figures that actually really captured achievements or moments. And for me, I think we've ticked a lot of those boxes. Of course, we easily could have forgotten something massive or major. Let me know if we have in the comments below. We can always do a part 2. If you enjoyed this video, though, give it a like. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. And hopefully, I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.